Yeah, I mean, I would say, and it sounds like something you do well, maybe now better than in the past, but is that really open and explicit communication, right? I think and an appreciation for each other and what skills each of you bring to the table, whether you're in business together or one's an anchor or one's a stay-at-home parent, whatever the configuration is. Really appreciating each other's skills, and I think being on that same page, right? Like recognizing that we might be playing different roles, but we're on the same team, right? Not everybody can be the pitcher, not everyone can be the first baseman, right? But they're both important roles, right? When we're on the same team.
Yeah.
Those would be mine.
For me, I think that the way that families are run these days and households are run is there's a lot more partnership between man and woman. And so we're each picking up different roles that we might not have had in the past. And so as a dad, I try to make every single game, every single recital, every single concert. I make dinner in the house. That's my job. I do the grocery shopping. I feed everyone.
He's a better cook.
This is the rule, right? Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important to have one in the
Yeah.
household.
At least one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. No,
So
I agree. That makes sense.
yeah, picking up these new roles while also adding on entrepreneurship and all of its roles while still trying to handle more at the household can, I think, put a little extra pressure. And it's just back to the fundamentals of what are the expectations, what are the roles and responsibilities of managing the household, and who's owning what task can really create a lot more fluidity and ease as we,
Yeah.
especially for those entering entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yes, and to your point, I think as you're saying that, I'm thinking of our kids, right? Because, but both of our boys have wives, wonderful wives, who are not. They're not stay at home. The one is now. They have younger kids, a 2 year old and a 2 month old, and then the other one they have a 17 year old and a 10 year old, and so very busy, and she works at the school, and she's holding down the fort for them to be able to, both of them kind of holding down the fort at home. And I think they both recognize that role and and understand, you know, the dinner, the cleaning, like you said, James, the roles, right? The roles going into it, and to enable them to get this thing off the ground. It's a roofing company, Legacy Roofing, Middle Tennessee, their little plug. You know, but for them to do that. And now here, our son-in-law, who has been, like I said, 20 years, I think our daughter's super busy. She's the director of children's ministry at church. She's very busy, but she's very supportive of like whatever Adam needs to do to get this off the ground. And they're doing it together and through a lot of things. So I think communication and support are the key. And to your point, James, talking through all of that and kind of laying the foundation of like, okay, who's doing what when this happens, when that happens, when I have to be gone, when I don't get home till 8 o'clock, whatever it is, you know? So I'm proud of them. They seem like they're really starting off on a good foundation. So
I love that. So Lisa, all these pivots in your career life, your entrepreneurial journey, which, like you said before, early on was kind of frowned upon, and now I think is better understood both by Trent and the rest of the world.
yeah.
How? So tell us a little bit. It's kind of sounds like it's led you to what you're doing now, which feels to me kind of like your passion work when we were talking about it before. You have a
Yeah.
book out, The Sock Drawer Philosophy, right? You're doing some coaching. Tell us about where you're at now, what you're doing.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I had really no idea coming out of the gate in February. And so I knew I've always wanted to write a book. I've said it for years. He knew that. Like I've just always said it. And I thought, okay, today's landscape is easier than ever to find out how to do that. It seemed like a daunting task years ago. Plus, I don't think I'd have had the time. So that was kind of my first focus. Although I became an Amazon affiliate because I'm like, "Well, I'm just gonna make a few dollars. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna post on I have fun posting on Instagram and doing these goofy little videos or whatever. And that's kind of where it all started. And it got away from that. I was, oh, it's like, so I took a step back and said, I'm going to focus on the book. And so that was my first step. And once that came out, I'll tell you, I knew that was this was the life I wanted to be in. When that came out and I could see the picture of it on Amazon. This sounds so goofy, but I was just like full of tears. I was like so overwhelmed with emotion, like, oh my gosh, there's a book on Amazon that I wrote. Like, what? So that was a big deal.
He needs to write the second one.
Oh gosh, I will. I will, but you guys, like, it was just so cool, And I
Absolutely.
was so proud of myself. Like, I feel like I've not been proud of myself even having we opened a franchise called well, I won't anyway, a fitness studio, and it was great and it was fine. It took us 2 years. We did it in COVID, because like many people, I had gotten laid off and let go, and I thought, you know what, now's our time. And he went right in with me and we did the investment and all of that. And then 3 years later, we just had to close it. It took almost 2 years to build it and open it. And then 3 years later, we had to close it. All that to say, I think now being a life coach, it boils down to how can I give back? Yes, I could go out and do Meals on Wheels and Special Olympics and all these different like things that I have a desire to do. Like I could volunteer and do that and give back. Absolutely. But would it be fulfilling? Because I think you need both. I think the scale needs to be balanced, right? I have to feel good. Not that those are causes, but that's where I sort of landed on podcasting. That's not something that was in my vision. It just came about. It seemed to fall right in line. As you know, you have the book and now you're a life coach. And are you going to focus on life coach or what are you going to do with that? And I have all this knowledge and what am I going to do with it? And that's where I led into the podcast as well. So coaching, mostly group coaching, but I do have a 30-minute calendar link that they can book with me and we can chat. And somebody who's looking to pivot or start a new careers, pivot out of a relationship, pivot, what in any way, shape or form, you're in the 9 to 5 and you want to be an entrepreneur, like there's steps they can take to do that. And I'm definitely the one that can help them. So I think that's what I'm doing now is mostly, offering any kind of guidance I can offer. It's a 30-minute free consult. And if it makes sense, then we can work something. It has to make sense for the party. Write another book, but that's on the back burner kind of right now. And the podcast is the focus. So that's where I'm
So
at.
so perfect. Tell us who would be an ideal person to pick up your book. Who's it going to help?
Anybody who hasn't it's anybody who hasn't let go of the past in order to move forward, right? So it's learning to let go. It's learning to find a way to kind of shift your mindset and look at things in a different way and be able to say, okay, maybe I've been looking at it this way. Take downshift. Like one story I share is this young lady who was getting married spent a year planning it, all the dream, and then on the day, it was an outside wedding, it all rained and it all came crashing down on her. You have to pivot. And she was struggling with that pivot. And so at some point between collectively, her family and her support network and her fiance were able to like, okay, it's going to be okay. And they took an inside space close by and we're able to pivot the whole scenario in a quick amount of time. And it became more beautiful and more probably a bigger dream that she could have ever imagined. Right. So just a small example of being able to pivot and finding a way to recognize what can be as opposed to what can't be, or telling yourself, now I can't have this, or now I can't do this, or why I can't do it. Let's find out why you can and why you should. And let's take those steps, right? The first thing is you have to decide to do it. You have to decide, and then you have to remove whatever's standing in your way. Start with the small things. Don't overwhelm yourself, right? Remove negative thoughts. Remove maybe a negative environment that you're in slowly. one thing at a time. And then you have to apply what you know. And everybody knows something. Everybody can bring something to the table. So apply it, right? And once you do that, you just have to jump in, right? So you've decided to do it. You've removed some negative thoughts. Maybe it's an imposter syndrome. Maybe it's whatever. And then you apply, you look back, okay, what knowledge do I have? Okay, I'm bringing this to the table. Now I'm going to jump in. I'm just going to wing it because you
Uh-huh.
have to. And then you just take a step back, kind of reestablish everything, right? Wait, maybe set some boundaries and then rinse and repeat. Just do it all over again. And it's baby steps, but that's the process that you have to take. But the first step is you have to decide that's what you want.
Great. Sounds like a process you've had well practiced in your life
Yeah.
to be
Well,
able to help others.
yes, it's funny you say
Yeah.
that because people will go, well, how did you pivot? Like, I don't know how do you go from this to this? How do you do this? How do you do that over the years? And I had to really take a step back and ask myself, like, I don't know how I did it. Really? I just decide to do it and I'm confident enough to jump in and see if it works out. But I was never afraid if it didn't, because I knew I would pivot again and do something else. So I think deciding is the first thing you got to do.
One thing about life, to be sure, it's that we have many, many opportunities to pivot.
True.
A heart's purpose work that you get to do, helping people to find the courage and the strength to do so, and the support, right? Because you've had the same from
So good. Yes, you guys. Thank you.